So I was thinking the other day, like, evolution is such an amazing idea, and it's one of the most amazing ideas we've come up with as a human race. And I started to think of the implications of, of human beings, and how early human beings evolved, and how they came to recognize the world once they realized, that they were there. Like, once they realized that they were beings, once they actually realized that. Because when you go from an animal probably doesn't know what it is, at least not for a very long amount of time, they probably realize that they are an animal, like a couple seconds for a couple seconds before they forget, and then they return to being just part of nature. And that happens, like, probably, so instantaneous that they barely get any time to realize that. But we're humans. We have minds, and we have brains, and we have memory, so we can remember that stuff. We can remember that we are humans, and we remember it for a really long time. And it's rare that someone can tap into the nature side of themselves, and and enjoy, like, just being there. And I think I was always wondering, like, what was it like for those humans who just figured out that they could think, like, who just realized, that their mind was actually a part of them. I heard that early humans thought that their thoughts were actually God, that their thoughts were actually a god or a deity that was talking to them. They didn't realize that it was actually their brain just assessing things around them. And they thought that, maybe that they were speaking to a god. They didn't realize that even on that level, they were still thinking and realizing themselves. They just thought they were just confused. They didn't know what was going on. They're like, what is this, mind? What is the mind going on? But now we take it for granted. We take the mind for granted. We think that our minds we've grown up with our minds this entire time. It's just like people who've just played, or kids who are growing up with cell phones. They didn't know that we didn't have cell phones. Like, when I was growing up, we didn't have cell phones. That, not everyone had a cell phone. Everyone had, like, something. Everyone had pagers, or pagers is hilarious. Everyone had 50 cents in their pocket for a rainy day when they would have to go out and make a call or something. There was no, if you needed to do an emergency call and you were out and about, you didn't have a cell phone. You had to call up. You had to actually, like, go to a payphone and make a call. Like, the same thing happens with people who don't know, who didn't know what a mind was. We take it for granted. We've always known that our mind was there. We were taught that our mind was there. Well, imagine you were a caveman and no one told you that you had a mind. Well, you wouldn't know what you wouldn't know what you were dealing with, even if you grew up with it. So I always think, like, what was it like for those cavemen who came into this world, who didn't know, what the mind was? They just they were just puzzled. And there are so many things that we take for granted now, and I always wonder, like, what am I taking for granted? Is there some sort of skill? That's why you have to be entirely open-minded to everything, and we are constantly evolving. I think that, the Mayan calendar, if anything, it is a calendar that marks an evolution in the human mind. And I think there is an evolution coming that is going to be another way of dealing with, all this stuff, like religions in the world. And it's already happening. People are already waking up to realize that, a lot of the things that we believed in and a lot of things that we associate ourselves to is actually just part of who we a part of how we interpreted the world around us. Just like religion, there's intelligent design and all this stuff. Like, all that is just how we ourselves interpreted the world. It's not how it actually became. And I think there's a lot of people, even religious people, who are coming through and saying, like, this is actually the meaning of why we made this, but it got lost in translation. It got lost to the masses, and now we have to deal with what's going on. And I appreciate that we are evolving. It's so awesome to watch the evolution of humans. And we take it for granted, and then when kids grow up, they don't even know. Like, some kids are gonna grow up and they're not even gonna know about like what we knew about, especially if you're like an older person like me. You grew up with like Super Nintendo. Some kids are not even gonna know that there was like a 2D world out there, that they're not even gonna know about the Super Marios or any the Zeldas or anything like that. The Link to the Past, those Zeldas, they're not gonna know about that. Their only world, they're gonna grow up only knowing of Call of Duty, like the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. They're only gonna know about that. That's the only thing they're gonna know about. And that's just how it is. They're gonna grow up thinking that dubstep is classic music when they get older. When they turn into older adults, they're gonna think that they're like, something else is gonna come along, and they're gonna think that it's disrespectful to dubstep. Like, that is the evolution of humans. They're not gonna. There's some kids who don't even know about Tupac. They think that Lil Wayne was like the #1 rapper of all time. That's just, and that you see that all the time. That's just how it is. And it's not frightening or anything like that. It is frightening to know that some people think Lil Wayne is better than Tupac. That's just it's frustrating to think about. I'm just kidding. No, but that's just how the world is. Like, when you get older, you're gonna start saying like, man, I can't believe that someone thinks that this is the way that life has always been. Especially when you get older. When you get older, your kids or people that are younger are gonna think that are gonna think that what you grew up on is incredibly primitive, and that they don't know how you survived. Like, now that I think about it, when I grew up, there was no internet. No one had internet. Everyone had, like, if anyone had a computer, it was like a terrible computer. And it was, that's just all you had to work with. You didn't have luxuries, and you didn't have anything that was awesome. So the same thing goes with the mind. Like, people didn't have the mind all the time. They always had like what I said, they always had the mind, but they just didn't know what it was. They thought it was a deity, or they thought it was something else. They didn't. I'm sure it took a while for them to realize that it was actually a part of them. And then you probably had someone who, or some caveman who was speaking out against it, and he probably got crucified, or he probably got attacked for saying that it was actually nothing to be afraid of, that it wasn't a god, that the mind and that our thoughts were actually a part of us. And I'm sure that's growing pains. There are growing pains in every evolution. In order for a person who is crawling, who's never walked in their entire lives, in order for them to get out of their shells, they have to break the mold. They have to get out of their shells, and they have to do something. And for me, I think that religion is going the same way. Religion, we have to go through wars. Religion, the only way religion is gonna ever go away or we're gonna ever get past, you know, all the religious wars and stuff like that, is that when we go to war, and it's gonna be a tough war, it's gonna be it might even destroy, you know, it might even destroy the human race. So when we go through all that, you just have to realize that, you know, beyond all this, there is a nature behind it, and that nature is going to take care of, you know, it's going to take care of itself. I don't believe that we can destroy we can't destroy the earth. The earth has outlived us all. Some people say, oh, we have nukes and blah blah blah, and we can take care of it if we want. To me, I think that's pretty naive to think that we can. I think that's arrogant that we think that we can destroy the earth. We probably can, but you know, it does us no justice. So it's just pointless to, you know, to think about that. I think humans are incredibly arrogant, and it's just, you know, it's just how it is, though. We all grow up. We grow up in different circumstances. Some of us grow up in a really rough neighborhood. Some of us grow up in, you know, with amazing privileges. Some of us don't, and we just have to bear with that. I know plenty of people who are incredibly privileged, and they take it for granted. I know a lot of those people, but you know, I don't go up to them and tell them that they are incredibly, you know, spoiled, because, you know, that's not my place to say all that. I just simply accept it and just wait for them to come around. That's all you can do. It's just like the person who first, you know, the caveman who first figured out that the mind was actually a part of us and a part of our thought process. You know, he was probably like the Socrates of cavemen, and he figured it out. He didn't figure it out, he just knew it. And that's how a lot of things come. Like, for me, like when I think about religion and you know, people who follow religion very closely, who hold it dear to their heart, you know, to me they're just like cavemen who are holding on to the idea that, you know, there's a God behind that thought. And to me, spirituality is actually a part of us, a part of it's part of the evolution of our minds. It is part of, you know, who we are going to become. You know, when there's miracles and stuff like that, people pray for miracles. I think that is a innate human. I think that's a human special ability that we are reaching into, and the only way for some of us to reach into it, into those emotions and into those powers, is to believe in something beyond us. And if we could believe, you know, or if we could tap into that without believing that that's beyond us, then imagine how insane we could be. Imagine if there is a healing power within ourselves that could heal people from cancer, heal people from any disease, just by, you know, our will, just by our belief. Whoa, I almost died. Just by our believing in ourselves, our believing in our fellow humans to get through something. Imagine if that was the case. Imagine if we could think our way, you know, through impossible diseases. Imagine if cancer was a part of our growing process. Imagine if cancer was the way that we grow into the next part of our human abilities. You never know. Imagine if, you know, aliens, or to me, I think aliens are really just us from the future. Humans from the future who are trying to push the evolutionary tract along faster to, you know, to achieve a greater future. Because to me, like, it only makes sense to invest, you know, if you are from the future, the best thing you can do is invest in in earlier models, especially if you figured out how to time travel. If humans in the future figured out how to time travel, then they are already changing right now. They're already changing us for the now. Maybe they program this idea into my head, and maybe you guys are the chosen people who are going to listen to it, and you're going to assess it, and maybe you'll make a difference. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just rambling on. Maybe I'm just trying to bring you guys some different things to think about. Who knows? I always keep myself open, because there's been a lot of things in my life that I can't explain. And there's been a lot of things that, to me, have been given to me as thoughts, or as ways of interpreting life into, new thought processes. To me, like, I've thought of things that some people would never understand, and they would just toss out immediately because they just figure like they're going crazy or something like that. To me, I like it when I think that I'm going crazy, because that means that I've developed as a human being. There's some people who are afraid of that. Some people say like, oh, if I think about this, then I'm going to be damned by, my deity. I'm going to be damned by, whoever I believe in or whatever. I don't even know. But some people think like that. So I guess that's just a thought that I had before I was gonna head to bed. I just wanted to post this quick. Well, I guess it's not really that quick of a Minecraft, but I just wanted to raise some thoughts to you guys, see what you guys think. I mean, sometimes I might be wrong. I mean, I might be totally wrong. I might have just spewed off a bunch of nonsense, but sometimes things, I say things and they make sense to me at the time, but later on when I listen to it again, I'll think like, wow, what was I thinking? That was like ridiculous. But either way, it's just conversation, and I think it's good to converse with you guys, especially you guys who like to listen to these type of messages, who like to listen to these types of conversations. And I appreciate all of you guys who listen to my Minecraft videos, because to be honest, like I said before, many times in my Minecraft series, you guys are probably my favorite subscribers, because I can just talk to you guys about thoughts like this. And I love reading your comments. I love it when you guys, when I tell you guys to comment or something like that, to say something at a certain part of a video, and you guys do it, and that to me is awesome. So if you guys have watched this far, I want you guys to say mushroom bowl soup. I think mushroom bowl soup would be a pretty funny quote to see in the comments, or comment to see in the comment box. So, whoa, I'm stuck. Anyway, I think this is a pretty good discussion. I hope you guys have an epic day. Have a good night, or whatever time of day it is. I was playing hardcore, but I didn't run into any trouble, oddly. Usually I run into like I can't even survive the first night, and I actually did. But I don't know. Maybe I'll continue in this place. I'll explore it further and see. I have some supplies now. I can go further into the jungle, or just go wherever. But well, thank you guys for listening. Have a good night. Have a good day. Peace out.